The sun was setting over the small town of Maplewood, casting a golden hue over the park, where Max, a loyal German shepherd, and his best friend, a scruffy terrier named Buddy, spent their evenings. The two dogs had been inseparable for years, sharing countless adventures, from chasing squirrels to digging up hidden treasures in the backyard. But tonight was different. Buddy had been acting strangely all day, and Max could sense that something was wrong. As they trotted along the familiar path, Max noticed that Buddy was unusually quiet. Normally, Buddy would be barking excitedly, his tail wagging furiously as he darted back and forth, sniffing every bush and tree. But tonight, Buddy walked slowly, his head down, his tail barely moving. Max nudged him with his nose, trying to get a reaction, but Buddy only sighed and continued walking. Like the video and subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell so that you get our new videos daily. Buddy, what's wrong? Max asked, his voice filled with concern. You're not yourself today. Buddy stopped and looked at Max, his eyes filled with sadness. Max, I have to tell you something, he said quietly. I'm leaving Maplewood. My family is moving to another town, and I don't know when or if I'll ever see you again. Max's heart sank. He had always known that this day might come, but he had never really believed it would. The thought of losing his best friend was almost too much to bear. He wanted to protest, to beg Buddy to stay, but he knew it was pointless. Dogs didn't have control over where their families took them. I understand, Max said finally, his voice trembling. But before you go, let's make this last night together something special. Let's do all the things we love, one last time. Buddy managed a small smile. That sounds like a good idea, he said. Let's make it a night to remember. And so, the two dogs set off on their final adventure, determined to make the most of their time together. They chased squirrels through the trees, splashed in the creek, and even managed to sneak into the local ice cream shop, where they shared a stolen cone of vanilla ice cream. For a few hours, it was just like old times, and Max almost forgot that Buddy was leaving. But as the night wore on, Max couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Buddy was still acting strangely, and there was something in his eyes that Max couldn't quite place. It wasn't just sadness, it was fear. Buddy, are you sure everything's okay? Max asked as they sat on a hill overlooking the town. You seem different. Buddy hesitated, then sighed. There's something I need to tell you, Max, he said, but you have to promise not to tell anyone. It's really important. Max nodded, his curiosity piqued. I promise, he said. What is it? Buddy took a deep breath, then began to speak. My family isn't just moving to another town, he said. They're running away. My owner, Mr. Jenkins, he's done something really bad. I overheard him talking on the phone last night. He's involved in some kind of illegal activity, and the police are after him. He's planning to leave tonight, and he's taking me with him. Max's eyes widened in shock. He'd always known that Mr. Jenkins was a shady character. He was often seen arguing with strangers late at night, and there were rumors that he was involved in some kind of criminal activity, but he had never imagined it was something this serious. Buddy, you can't go with him, Max said urgently. If the police are after him, you could be in danger. You have to stay here with me. Buddy shook his head. I can't, Max, he said. I don't have a choice. If I stay, Mr. Jenkins will come looking for me, and I don't know what he'll do. I have to go with him. Max's mind raced. He couldn't let Buddy leave, not like this. There had to be something he could do. And then, an idea began to form in his mind, a crazy, risky idea, but it was the only one he had. Buddy, listen to me, Max said, his voice firm. I have a plan, but you have to trust me. Buddy looked at him, his eyes filled with doubt. What kind of plan? He asked. Max took a deep breath. We're going to call the police, he said. We're going to tell them everything, and we're going to make sure Mr. Jenkins doesn't get away with whatever he's done. Buddy's eyes widened in fear. Max, that's crazy, he exclaimed. If Mr. Jenkins finds out, he'll... "He won't find out," Max interrupted, "because we're going to be careful. We're going to make sure that the police catch him before he even knows what's happening." Buddy hesitated, then nodded slowly. "Okay," he said. "I trust you, Max. Let's do it." Max and Buddy spent the next hour huddled together, working out the details of their plan. It was risky, and there were 100 things that could go wrong, but they didn't have any other options. They had to act fast. Mr. Jenkins was planning to leave that night, and if they didn't stop him, Buddy would be gone forever. The first step was to gather evidence. Max knew that the police would need proof of Mr. Jenkins' illegal activities if they were going to arrest him. Buddy had overheard enough to know that Mr. Jenkins was involved in some kind of smuggling operation, but they needed more than just hearsay. They needed something concrete. "Buddy, do you think you can get into Mr. Jenkins' house and find something that proves what he's doing?" Max asked. Buddy nodded. "I think so," he said. "He keeps a lot of papers in his office, and he's always on the phone late at night. If I can get in there, I might be able to find something." "Good," Max said. "But be careful. If he catches you, it could be dangerous." Buddy nodded again, then set off towards Mr. Jenkins' house, his heart pounding with fear and determination. Max watched him go, then turned and headed in the opposite direction. He had his own part to play in the plan. Max knew that the police station was on the other side of town, and he needed to get there as quickly as possible. He had to find a way to communicate with the officers and let them know what was going on. It wasn't going to be easy, dogs. Couldn't exactly walk into a police station and start talking, but Max was determined to find a way. As he ran through the streets, Max's mind raced. He needed to find someone who could understand him, someone who could help him get the message to the police. And then he remembered Officer Daniels, the kind-hearted police officer who often patrolled the park. Max had seen him many times, and he knew that Officer Daniels had a soft spot for animals. If anyone would listen to him, it was Officer Daniels. Max changed direction and headed towards the park, hoping that Officer Daniels would be there. As he approached, he saw the familiar figure of the officer sitting on a bench, sipping a cup of coffee. Max ran up to him, barking urgently. Officer Daniels looked up, surprised. "Hey there, Max," he said, reaching out to pet the dog. "What's got you all worked up?" Max barked again, more insistently this time. He grabbed Officer Daniels' sleeve with his teeth and tugged, trying to pull him towards the street. "Whoa, easy there, boy," Officer Daniels said, standing up. "What's going on? Do you need help?" Max barked again, then turned and started running towards Mr. Jenkins' house, looking back to make sure Officer Daniels was following. The officer hesitated for a moment, then shrugged and followed the dog, curious to see what was going on. Meanwhile, Buddy had made his way to Mr. Jenkins' house. The lights were off, and the house was quiet, but Buddy knew that Mr. Jenkins was still inside. He had seen him through the window, pacing back and forth, talking on the phone in hushed tones. Buddy crept around to the back of the house, where he knew there was a dog door. He slipped inside, his heart pounding with fear. The house was dark, and the air was thick with tension. Buddy could hear Mr. Jenkins's voice coming from the office, and he knew he had to be careful. He made his way to the office, his paws barely making a sound on the carpet. The door was slightly ajar, and Buddy could see Mr. Jenkins inside, his back turned as he rummaged through a filing cabinet. Buddy's eyes darted around the room, looking for something that could prove Mr. Jenkins' guilt. And then he saw Ita's stack of papers on the desk, with the words "Shipping Manifest" written at the top. Buddy's heart leaped. This was it. This was the evidence they needed. He crept closer, his eyes fixed on the papers. He just had to grab them and get out of there. But as he reached for the papers, his paw knocked over a pen, sending it clattering to the floor. Mr. Jenkins spun around, his eyes narrowing as he saw the dog. "Buddy?" he said, his voice low and dangerous. "What are you doing in here?" Buddy froze, his heart pounding. He had to think fast. He grabbed the papers in his mouth and bolted for the door, but Mr. Jenkins was faster. He lunged forward, grabbing Buddy by the collar and yanking him back. "Not so fast, you little mutt," Mr. Jenkins snarled. "What do you think you're doing?" Buddy struggled, but Mr. Jenkins' grip was too strong. He could feel the man's breath on his fur, hot and angry. He had to get away. He had to get those papers to Max. And then he heard the sound of a car pulling up outside, followed by the familiar voice of Officer Daniels. "Mr. Jenkins?" the officer called. "This is the police. We need to speak with you." Mr. Jenkins' eyes widened in panic. He released Buddy and ran to the window, peering out at the police car parked in the driveway. Buddy seized the opportunity and bolted for the door, the papers still clutched in his mouth. He burst out of the house and ran straight to Max, who was standing next to Officer Daniels. Max barked excitedly, his tail wagging furiously. "Officer, look!" Max barked. "Buddy has the evidence." Officer Daniels looked down at the dog, confused. "What's going on here?" he asked. Buddy dropped the papers at the officer's feet, panting heavily. Officer Daniels picked them up, his eyes scanning the contents. His expression grew serious as he realized what he was holding. "Mr. Jenkins," he said, his voice firm, "you're under arrest." Mr. Jenkins tried to protest, but the evidence was overwhelming. The shipping manifest detailed a smuggling operation that had been going on for months, and it was clear that Mr. Jenkins was at the center of it. The police quickly handcuffed him and led him away, leaving Buddy and Max standing in the driveway, watching as their plan came to fruition. As the police car drove away, Buddy turned to Max, his eyes filled with gratitude. "You did it, Max," he said. "You saved me." Max shook his head. "We did it together," he said. "I couldn't have done it without you." Buddy smiled, then looked down at the ground. "What happens now?" he asked. "I don't have a family anymore." Max nuzzled him gently. "You have me," he said, "and I'm sure we can find you a new family, one that will love you and take care of you." Buddy's tail wagged slightly at the thought. "That sounds nice," he said, "but I don't want to leave you, Max." Max smiled. "You don't have to," he said. "We'll find a family that will take both of us. We're a team, remember?" Buddy's tail wagged even harder, and he leaned against Max, feeling a sense of relief and happiness that he hadn't felt in a long time. The two dogs stood there for a moment, watching as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the town. They had been through a lot together, and they knew that there would be more challenges ahead. But for now, they were safe, and they were together, and that was all that mattered. In the weeks that followed, Buddy and Max were adopted by a kind family who lived just outside of Maplewood. The family had 2 children who loved animals, and they quickly fell in love with the 2 dogs. Buddy and Max had a new home, a new family, and a new life. But they never forgot the adventure they had shared, or the bond that had brought them together. They still spent their evenings in the park, chasing squirrels and digging up hidden treasures. And every now and then they would sit on the hill overlooking the town, watching the sunset, and remembering the night they had saved each other. It was a story they would tell for the rest of their lives, a story of friendship, courage, and the unbreakable bond between 2 dogs who had faced the world together and come out stronger on the other side.